Today on the Clean Power Hour, millions saved with on-site mulching of solar trash, a story by John Weaver. Array Technologies acquires STI Norland and is now the largest tracker manufacturer globally. The world's about to double polysilicon capacity, and that was 191 gigawatts in 2021. It's going to 500 gigawatts in 2022. I don't believe it. Welcome to the show, commercial solar guy and my co-host, John Weaver.
Hey, Timothy. How is it? Is it cold there? It's chilly here. I'm wearing my hat. My hat that's made by my friend. Very nice and warm. But is it cold there?
You're looking cozy. It's not too bad here. It's been in the 30s this week, but it goes back and forth. It gets crazy cold, then it gets mild. Then it gets crazy cold, then it gets mild. So
I think we're in the teens today. Tomorrow I thought I heard 45, so it's going to be nice. So why don't you believe we'll have 500 gigs of capacity of polysilicon?
How do we double capacity year over year, man? How's that possible?
Well, I've been looking at announcements. I know the volume. It's like 600,000 megatons. 550,000 megatons is what made the volume for 191 gigs. And there was a company who literally advertised a 100,000 megaton facility. And I think it was the largest. And then another company said 200,000. So once they get to these big scales, they can just be like, well, here's the biggest facility ever. And it's literally 20% more. I saw the advertisement like a year ago, 9 months ago.
But we're talking major construction of ginormous facilities, right?
Yeah, so it's not like and you know what I read and learned is that the polysilicon manufacturing is actually the slowest of the solar panel supply chain manufacturing chunks. So these are projects that were initially announced a year ago, and they're now just halfway through getting built. Buildings are in place, whatever it is, and now it seems like they're going to pop up by the end of next year, by the end of this year, actually.
Yeah, I don't believe it, but hey, it's a story in Bloomberg, right?
Yeah, Bloomberg. They do this stuff.
Do we want to look at this story?
Listen. These announcements I've seen. I've seen these announcements. I've seen some of the announcements. I haven't seen them enough to see what they total. But there's a 40 gig announcement or 40,000 megatons, 60,000, 100,000. You know, there's been at least 2 6-figure megaton volume announcements. So I'm just saying it's not a outside of the window, outside of reality, and we're getting more efficient. So we have higher efficiency panels, higher efficiency products every year. Every year we do a little bit more, and I don't think it's outside of the window.
Yeah, I mean, certainly it's within the realm of possibility. It just seems like a little crazy. But who am I? This is not my ballywick. This is much more up your alley. So if John Weaver gives it his blessing, so be it.
Well, I'll say this, and look at the next number though. The next number has it going 3 times. See, this is the better part. Let's blow that number out. So you know how we were just talking about, oh man, we doubled to 191 and we're going to double by the end of 2022. Well, within like 3, 4, 5 years, we could go up by 6x. Yeah. Now, that volume doesn't necessarily mean we're going to install 500 gigs next year, but we will have the capacity to manufacture 500 gigs worth of polysilicon by the end of next year. And it's the end of next year. So it might be that they all come online December 26th. I don't think that's going to be the case. I think they'll just randomly come on during the course of the year. But it's coming. And 6x, that puts us at 3 terawatts a year. Maybe the Chinese really do want to control the long-term market and literally make 3 terawatt hours worth a year of polysilicon. Maybe they see 60 terawatts. 3 terawatts a year for 20 years, that lets us revolve 60 terawatts. And, you know, that's our global industry, 3 terawatts of solar a year. China wants it. Bam, that'd be so sweet.
Well, we need a lot more solar, John, because the story that I've noticed is the U.S. our CO2 footprint increased by 6% in 2021. and globally, we're still increasing CO2 levels. So while the energy transition has begun, we have a long, long way to go.
Long.
And the more I talk to very knowledgeable scientists and technologists about what's going on with climate change, I'm now convinced that the polar ice caps are going to melt, and we're going to be living with something like 10 feet of sea level rise in the next 50 to 100 years. It could even happen faster because of some things like there's this cork down in Antarctica that's keeping a major ice shelf on the continent and not in the ocean. If that cork pops and it goes faster, right, then the sea level change could happen a lot faster. So I don't want to be too
realistic,
alarmist, but the shit could get really real here really fast. And 70% of the world's population lives near the ocean, including my two sons who live in northern Norway. And the real bummer there is that shuts down, when Greenland melts, that shuts down the warm, what is that warm water called?
North Atlantic.
The Gulf Stream. The Gulf Stream stops, and then they have a frickin' ice age. And I don't ever want to go to Norway again, probably then. But right now, I still want to go to Norway.
Oh, well, better take a trip.
Well, my one son is thinking about transferring to Spain. So, Finn, go to Spain. That's my word.
Better be high altitude Spain if you can. So move close to France. Get up in the hills.
Okay, we're going to put a John Weaver story on screen here about mulching solar trash, aka pallets and cardboard. What's the story, John?
Gulf Power, who is FPL, same company, they put out a press release showing that they've been mulching solar panels, cardboard boxes, and pallets, and instead of buying mulch. And it's apparently a good material to put down. Saves them $130,000 per 75 megawatt AC project size. This project has 200 to 250,000 panels, so 90 to 120 megs maybe. So it's really cheap. I mean, mulching if it was 130 grand and throwing away this trash. So it was just a neat little thing that they're, for 50 grand, they get this machine out there, power the machine, and they turn their pallets and cardboard boxes into dirt.
Cotton Creek Solar Energy Center. It's a nice name. I'm neutral on this topic. I mean, I'm glad that FPL is saving some money, and I guess I've noticed that Innovatus is promoting a recyclable or reusable pallet that's made of plastic. And I'm all for reusability. And wood pallets can be reused too. And then, of course, they wear out after some amount of reuse. But so, yeah, I'm curious if somebody's done the full cost accounting, right? This versus reusing and bringing in mulch from some other source. I don't know.
I even heard, they did talk a little bit about making sure the paint is managed and making sure there's no metal in there. And I've heard others say that recycling might be better use for this product. And I'm cool with it. It's a neat little thing, and it may not be significant. It's literally hundredths of a penny when I ran the cost. But you're right. Yeah, I don't have any hard environmental feel on it. I just think it's cool. And yeah, I like how their mulching costs are bigger than some of my project costs.
And I want to know how they separate the nails. That you pointed out that they do separate the nails from the pallets out, which is good because you don't want a bunch of metal out on the site, which could puncture tires, et cetera, et cetera.
They also talk about paint, and I bet you they're talking about paints that are on the cardboard. And I guarantee their orders are big enough that they can just say, hey, give me boxes that aren't labeled. And I need you to buy these boxes. Because they're buying they're buying 100 megs of product. So they get to tell, the manufacturing line, hey, because they're literally taking over a manufacturing line and just, getting all the panels. And so they can customize the box. They could probably customize the pallets. Maybe they'll get the pallets that are put together without nails. They're just cut a certain way and a hammer guy goes dunk, 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 dunk. And that's how you get your pallet. I mean, I have no idea about the manufacturing processes of pallets.
Yeah.
But they're big enough to do cool stuff. There's that.
So are you familiar with STI Norland, the Spanish tracker company?
To be honest, I'm such a small fry when it comes to building. I don't really use trackers. I'm conscious of their name. I know who they are, definitely. I don't really know their product. I can't tell you the key differentiators between them, Next Tracker, and RBI, stuff like that. I did see the headline that they're now the biggest, and that's kind of cool. I know who Array Technologies is a little bit more because they're from New Mexico, and they had a PR lady who I said Colorado green chili is better than New Mexico green chili, and she about punched me. And apparently that's not a thing you say, Tim.
No, New Mexico green chili is the best by far, for sure. Yeah, so Array Technologies, the tracker, the number 2 tracker globally, right, based in Albuquerque, has now acquired STI Norland. I only know of STI Norland because they work with Acciona, the Spanish developer. STI Norland is a Spanish company, and Acciona has their North American headquarters in Chicago, and they're developing some utility solar here in Illinois. And that's what woke me up to STI Norland. I knew about PV Hardware, which is the number 3 tracker manufacturer globally, and that's also a Spanish product. I don't know where STI Norland was in the rankings, but anyway, now Array is going to be theoretically the largest tracker company. And this was a $650 million acquisition, 570 euros for our European friends, but kind of a big deal.
Yeah, I wonder what the logic was. Sometimes, Array could have raised a bunch of money and done really well in their stock market listing.
Here's the logic. Europe and Latin America, it instantly gives Array a footprint in those markets where STI was strong and Array was not.
Well, that's great then. I mean, if they have, because having good salespeople who speak the language, who have the handshakes, who know the manufacturers, that's a great way to jumpstart being right in there. So, cool.
Yep.
Cool. Well, it's kind of neat to see the big names combining because it means healthy. Sometimes it just means somebody has a bunch of cash that they leveraged from some Wall Street people. And the Wall Street guys saw that they could do some smash and grabbing and get on up. And so neat. I wonder if this will be good or bad for us. Will we lose some innovation, or will Array get better and bigger, or will STI get better or bigger? I wonder what the combinations, how it works out. Big business getting bigger. Sometimes it's challenging for the little players, but sometimes, the industry still has to scale 10x. So maybe it's necessary for a few more of these things to happen.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing. But I'm biased. I want to go to Spain and and say that there's a Spanish company that's now an American company and that kind of thing. But all right, well, long duration storage. Shall we talk about Hydrostore?
Sure. I've been seeing this around for a while. What do you think about it?
Oh, I love anything that stores energy for long duration, as long as it's not hurting humans or the environment. And I'm sure that there are some environmental risks. So the story is that Goldman Sachs invests $250 million in Hydrostore to advance long duration energy storage. I think it's 8 to 10 hour storage they're working on, similar to Energy Dome that we covered just a couple weeks ago, back in December, when I was at ESA. And you see the plant there. I think this is a 2 megawatt plant that we're looking at. I'll find that here
I think
somewhere.
it's 1.75 peak, 2.2 rating, charge rating.
Yeah.
15 megawatt hours of storage. If that's the Ontario. Yep. I'm looking at the link that's in that article.
Okay.
Yep.
So, it's a pretty small footprint. That's the cool thing about these facilities, right? For 2 megawatts, the footprint is pretty small.
Well, it's 15 megawatt hours.
And you're getting a lot of juice. Yeah. But yeah, so I think I remember when I was at ESA, I met another company, I can't remember the name now, that was doing this exact same thing. It wasn't Hydrostore. But so this, these technologies ebb and flow. There's nothing new about compressed air storage, right? It just fell by the wayside. I know a battery developer now, lithium ion developer in Texas who used to work in compressed air before he worked in battery storage. And, so this industry is now coming back basically.
That's interesting. I never knew that there was an older energy storage industry.
Yeah. What these guys are doing is they're finding a geologic formation that's appropriate underground, and then they're boring an 8-foot diameter hole down into that, and then putting some pipes, compressing air, putting the compressed air underneath a body of water, which acts as a cap, and then selectively pulling the air out to generate electricity from a turbine.
Was that hooked up to a ship? I think I saw that article. They had a little boat that might even hook up to one of these units. For one of these underground storage people. There's actually a ship that was hooked up to it. A small submersible. Underwater energy storage. Did you not see that article this week? Is that not related to this?
That's a different thing though.
Huh. So there's a lot of people doing compressing air storage projects that are bouncing around in the news. That's pretty cool. That's
on the cover of PV Magazine today, isn't it?
Oh, wow. Maybe. I mean, I saw it about 2 or 3 days ago. So maybe it was one of their articles that snuck out.
Yeah, the title is Utility Scale Ocean Battery, a Bedfellow for Floating PV. Is that the one you're referring to?
I have no idea the title. They all blend together sometime, Tim.
Oh, well, just check that out while we're talking and see if that's it. I haven't drilled down on that story, no pun intended. I'm skeptical of stuff at the bottom of the ocean, only because it's super expensive and complicated to do stuff there. But I don't doubt that there's some kind of a play at the bottom of the sea.
Under the sea.
I'd like to be.
It seems a cool idea. I wonder if, at one point they were talking about using giant bags of air to pump away CO2. And then we would slowly cover the CO2 with dirt and sediments. And that's how we build away the CO2. I was like, that sounds like a terrible idea. But maybe we could do giant bags of air that slowly fill up during the summertime and then slowly breathe out during the wintertime when solar is lesser. And we could just, blanket the bottom of the ocean. I'm sure that's going to be great for the animals. But blanket the bottom of the ocean with giant bags of air. And, right?
So I'm going to put this on screen because this is just too wacky. If I can find the right screen here. So here's the story. Utility scale ocean battery, a bedfellow floating PV. So my understanding is when you look at this drawing, the tanks of air are under the ocean surface. So that's the good news. And then I think that's these black arms are those supposedly floating on the surface?
Maybe. Looks like it.
I can't tell what's the ground and what's the ocean here, but so yeah, I don't know, man. It's like having a submarine that's embedded in the seafloor or something. I'm sure it works, but I'm sure it's super expensive. So I'm not sure why they think there's a play here.
I like seeing the weird sciences that we're doing right now. It's just neat. If pumped air is coming back, if it made a sense way back in the day, maybe it's close to making a good sense today again. It's good to see that the industry has enough spin-off capital that it can fund these different ideas. This is where these strange learning curves might come from. And, it's just kind of cool to see all these different ideas. I mean, lithium ion might end up dominating, but maybe it's good that we have competing uses for other batteries to open up our creativity as we look at this. I don't know. I mean, vehicles might pull lithium ion so far ahead of the pace that it's just going to be really hard to compete with lithium ion. And if that's the case, then cool. That means we have a good product that we're latching onto. So, I don't know. It's interesting to watch. Like, I don't know if any of this underwater crap's going to work, Tim. I'm going to be very honest with you. But, I don't know. It's kind of cool to watch. It's just cool to watch the ideas and read and be like, holy crap, what an interesting imagination you have.
When I don't know if I talked about this on the show, hearkening back to the intro where we were talking about climate change, there's a plan to build a 400-mile long dam across the entrance to the Baltic Sea. So basically connecting Norway to Great Britain and Great Britain to France.
Okay.
To prevent that whole region from experiencing catastrophic sea level rise.
Sweet.
Talk about a mega project. That is a mega project.
Did you say 4,000 miles? Is that
400 miles?
Oh, 400? Yeah, come on. Europe can build a 400-mile wall. Come on. That's like, how long was Hadrian's Wall? Come on. Let's look this up. We're going to look this up. How long
is the Great Wall of China? Can you Google that?
Hey, well, I'll do that one next. Okay, so Hadrian Wall is 73 miles, and this was built in like 80. Like, this is a Roman wall. I mean, and we built an 80-mile wall. So we built a fifth of it with the year 80 technology. And I'm probably in the wrong year, and the English historians are going to get mad at me.
Yeah, but it's not in the ocean, is it?
No, that's a good point. Touche. So AD 122, dude. So Anno Domini 122. So we're talking like 2,000 years ago almost. And then let's go. The Great Wall. This is like thousands of China wall length. I mean, this is a multi-thousand mile, 13,000 miles. Okay, so we can chop the Great Wall of China, let's see, into 400-mile chunks. That's going to be like 40-ish. 4 times 4. No, 35-ish, 32-ish, something like that. And we could stack them. So we could stack the Great Wall of China 32 times, and that would be this wall. I think Europe can do that. Maybe we should use the Chinese as architects and say, obviously, are amazing wall builders.
So this would be how many times bigger than the Great Wall?
They would do some exact. So we got 13,714 miles divided by 400. 34 times shorter than the Great Wall. So we can use the same material from the Great Wall and just stack it 34 times.
So if you want to find this story, you just Google NEED, N-E-E-D. NEED stands for the Northern European Enclosure Dam. And there's a Wikipedia page on it. And they've got some nice drawings showing how it connects Norway to Great Britain and then Great Britain to France.
Oh, there it is. Oh, it's pretty cool, man. NEED South. They have different versions of it. Oh, man.
Yeah.
Jeez. Pretty
I told
cool.
my son, get in the dam building business.
Get in early. That's funny. That's funny.
All right. We should talk about solar panel efficiency, I think.
Sure.
That is one of your favorite topics, isn't it?
I think it's always cool. I mean, panels are neat. It's space-age technology. It's like nanotech. It's some of the best sciences we do is what we do inside of solar panels. And
you know, Einstein did become partially famous, right, for the photoelectric effect, because he the effect was known.
Yes.
But he explained the science and the physics behind it.
Yep.
But my question for you, John Weaver, commercial solar guy, is: would Einstein be impressed with the state of society in 2022? Do you think?
Would Einstein be the state of society? Well, I don't know. Einstein was a very get out there and have fun with the world type of guy. He enjoyed dating broadly, and I think maybe he'd like a little more science, a little less war, but he probably noticed that this is the nature of humanity, and we got lots of science, we got a lot of business. We're maybe messing up with some climate change because he would be very, he'd be like, you guys are morons. But overall, he might think we're cool. Other than the climate change thing, we're pretty awesome. We got cars that fly. We're not very good at it yet. We got cars that like drive themselves. We're not very good at that either. We do go to space a little more now. We're making that dirty though, so we got to get some lasers shooting down space debris now. But he'd be okay with it. He'd be happy that his science is now powering the world. I mean, his first Nobel Prize might be the thing that ends up powering the world.
Speaking of going to space, did you see the interview with Elon and Lex Friedman? Interview 3.
What did they talk about?
They talked about the SpaceX the rocket engines that SpaceX is building on the Starship, and Elon said they're 10 times more advanced than any other rocket engine on Earth.
Yeah.
And they're in production hell. That's what he's focusing a lot of his time on, is how to scale production of those engines, which makes sense. I predict that he will be CEO for less than 2 more years of Tesla. He's going to give up Tesla to focus on space. You heard it here.
That's so cool. I mean, I saw this video once of the Raptor engines all moving in unison, just going spinning around.
Oh, yeah. That was a good one.
It's just kind of neat. One. They have one just sitting there. And what is it? So on the SpaceX platform down in Texas, there's a unit fully tiled, just ready to be shot into space. And I think they're waiting on EPA approval, and that thing's going into space. And they have the catcher now arm out so that when the unit comes down. So what's the order? Does it land first and then the thing shoots out? Like, what's that? What's our pattern there?
The arms come out just as the rocket is coming down.
Oh, so it's timed in unison.
Elon also predicted in that interview that it probably wouldn't work the first time.
Boom.
I like it that he's somewhat down to earth about these things, even though he makes many predictions that don't come true. Yeah. He's also fairly demure about when they're doing some really gnarly engineering, like they're doing with Starship now. Like, he's like, yeah, there's going to be failures. It's part of the game here.
I think the rocket blowing up was among the better things that has happened.
Which one? You mean the
visually speaking, the rockets blowing up has been just kind of a fun thing to watch. I mean, it's 10 times better when they actually do finally land and get the job and stick it. But when it's like, hey, this is cowboy time, it's just kind of like, so it's kind of neat to watch. It's space age. It's the space age stuff. So here, solar panels.
Taiyang news update.
Yep.
John Weaver.
Yep. It's just good news. Good panels. I know we didn't even talk about the panels.
What kind of panels are we talking about here?
Well, these are just, you know the names. They're just high efficiency panels, just normal panels that you can buy on the market. I mean, that's what this is. So this
is just a breakdown of all the best panels.
Yeah, this is just the panels you can buy. So if you just want to buy hardware and know what to buy, this is it. This is the list.
Maxeon still leads the pack, huh?
Yeah, I don't even know if you can actually find them. But it's what you can find. I mean, there are new record panels. Mm-hmm.
LG, Jinko Solar, REC, Meyer Burger.
You can't get the Jollywood in the United States. I don't think so.
Because they're selling it all to India?
I don't know. I mean, that's one of the world's top TopCon manufacturers. They may have been the world's first TopCon manufacturer. The way I've seen their sales pitch on this company is that they just said, listen, we're too late to be Jinko or Longi or anybody like that. Let's just aim for a niche and let's make a bet on what the cutting edge technique is going to be.
Why isn't Q-Cells on here?
Maybe they don't like Korean companies.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, I mean, Q-Cell does have a middle 21% product, don't they?
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Heck yeah.
So this is a partial list.
Yeah.
I mean, and these are commercial panels. So, I mean, there is a definitely a 400 watt plus Q-Cell, 500 watt Q-Cell out there.
Oh, yeah. Look at those numbers. 700, 670. The 700 watt modules are coming, baby.
I've never even seen one of these in maybe I saw one a couple of years ago, but I haven't seen any of these. I don't think so. I once saw a 1,000 watt panel. It was just a weird oversized panel. Wasn't anything special, just big.
Yeah, they are getting big.
Yep. So that's a good list if you want to buy some panels. I like that list. Pretty cool. Now, this next story I kind of thought was neat.
Yeah, this is what we call the In the Bizarre news from John Weaver.
So in China, in certain regions, you have a legal requirement to include solar with your structure. And apparently, it's worth enough money that a building contractor might get a fake solar installation put in so that they could get through inspections and then have it taken out a month later and reinstalled somewhere else. And apparently, there's enough consistent business that there are actually people who make money installing and then uninstalling and then reinstalling the same project over and over. What do you think about that?
I think it's sad.
It is. Of course it is.
It's a ginormous scam. Although I have to say that these buildings aren't looking so hot right here. But maybe it's not. Oh, this is from India.
Yeah, it's just random picture panels there.
Chennai Realtors. Is Chennai a Chinese company or an Indian company?
Oh, I hope I'm not talking crap about the wrong company, the wrong country. Because right now it's listed as a city in India. And I'm such a fool. There you go. Chennai Citizen Matters. So this is definitely in India. And Chennai Real Estate flouting the rules. Chennai and China.
Good thing the fact checker's here, huh?
It's late, Tim. It's late in the evening. Got a lot of things going on. It's just sometimes you blaze through the news and it's like, what did I see? What did I read? Okay. But still, the conceptually, what's occurred has happened. We got the high level story right. Just, geez, that's a large country to piss off. Sorry, China.
Oh, I can't get the EIA story to load.
Well, I know why. 50%, the percentage number there is wrong. So I'll load the second one first. The second one's better. I'll start with that one. And then I'll fix the second one. So that's the retirement story. So this is all the stuff that's retiring.
Oh, the coal retirement story? Yeah. This is a good story. What's the story, though? You got to spell it out.
Well, let's just look how much is retiring. There's a lot of coal retiring. So there's that's a decent volume. We got, 14 gigs total of retiring stuff, and 12.6 gigs is coal, 1.2 is gas. So really
The story, though, John, is that 85% of U.S. electric generating capacity retirements in 2022 are going to be coal.
And even a higher percentage, 14, is just going to be straight fossil fuels. So 14 gigs of fossils will retire in 2022. That's the story. Now, go to the other link.
Yeah.
And we see that there will be 46 new gigs of capacity, almost half of it solar. And there's 9.6 gigs of new gas that'll be mostly built in the not the Midwest, but the upper East Midwest. And these gas plants will replace retiring coal. But there's only 9.6 gigs of new gas. We're dropping 14 gigs of fossils. So it's a net negative of 5 gigs of fossils to go along with a huge amount of new solar and a huge amount of new wind. 21 gigs, just another 20 gig year of solar.
And we're adding some nuclear. Is that the plant in Georgia that's coming online?
Maybe. We'll see. It's actually
Because
two
we only
plants.
have one plant in the whole country, I think, that's under construction.
Yeah, and technically, it's definitely not going to meet the June date because I think they already dropped the June back to November.
Yeah,
and then the one in November. Yeah, and the November one is already next year. So I think their nuclear numbers are both wrong. We might get 1.1 gigs of nuclear in November, but it's going to swap, but we'll see. So the nuclear number is definitely going to be one half of it. High probability it's going to be zero. Like, I would bet you that it's zero.
You think these numbers are plants that are going to be commissioned in 2022?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I know the nuclear is not, but at least half the nuclear is not. Because they've already made an announcement that plant is already in 2023, and the other half is delayed from June. So June's not happening.
Yeah, what you can clearly see is that the United States has solar chickenpox.
Yep.
And that's a good thing.
Yep. All
so
over.
if you're not working in solar, wind, and storage yet, reach out to me. We can help you get a job in the solar, wind, and storage industry, and that would be a good thing. We need more people to come into this industry, the energy transition industry broadly. And there's just a ton of opportunity. The economy's humming, John. The unemployment rate is below 5%. So it's not easy to find qualified talent. And that means opportunity for talent. Right? That's how it works.
Good job. Are you hiring, Tim? Got a big company?
No, I have a very small company.
Yep.
But someday. Are we going to do any more stories, or are we going to wrap this up?
I like this next one. One more. You going to let me do one more?
Cool chart showing how wind and sun are perfectly complementary.
See how cool that sounds? Cool chart.
It's true. Solar and wind are totally complementary.
Just look at this chart. It's like,
It's not necessarily common sense because we're not out at night so much, and so we don't realize how much windier it is at night. But that's the deal, right? That the wind blows much more at night and more in the winter.
Yep.
And so when solar is ebbing or non-existent, the wind is blowing. Yeah, this is amazing. I love this chart.
Now, from what I've heard is that's really focused on Europe, and not all the world is the same as complementary because of different dynamics. They talked about Northern Africa with trade winds and how they had a different wind pattern than Europe. And so this is a specific to Europe, though it's generally maybe the same in other places.
It's certainly true here in the Midwest.
This is true as well. Yes, it is. It is. So, but I just think it's a neat thing, and it's one reason energy storage doesn't have to be as extreme as it is, because the wind rarely goes to zero. There's always something, and the sun always rises the next day. I'll tell you what, though, in the wintertime, the further north you go, the bigger the difference between summertime and wintertime. Ooh, numbers are just huge. So you got to figure out how to light the Arctic Circle at night. But if that's our only battle, then we've won the rest of the planet. That's pretty cool. So,
yeah,
maybe we'll let them burn the fossil fuels.
I mean, it does happen that you have days when the sun or when the wind doesn't blow. So we need storage. We want and need storage. Well, I want to make a couple of announcements, John. You can find all of our content here at the Clean Power Hour at cleanpowerhour.com. If you like the show, please subscribe on your favorite audio player or on YouTube. And if you go to cleanpowerhour.com, you'll find links to the audio and the video. So check that out. Share it with your friends. Rate it on those platforms that allow rating, like Apple Podcasts. That's great. That helps more people find this content. And reach out to me and John and tell us what you want to hear and what we're doing right and what we should do more of or do differently. You can reach me at TG Montague on Twitter. And I'm going to put John's website up here on screen. How can our listeners and viewers reach you, Mr. Solar, Commercial Solar Guy?
Well, if you're putting on my website, I will tell you where to click, because there's going to be a button and then another button where you put your information into a form. We get a contact submission.
Contact us at commercialsolarguy.com.
That's right there. And then you type little words there in the lower left corner.
He even has son in his phone number.
See how snazzy that is? I was thinking the long term, thinking the long game. But that's the best way. Website, go to our contact us. You can give me a ring as well. I'll pick up. And I'm on Twitter if you want to just learn a bunch of weird solar news, and LinkedIn where I share some of the stuff I write, or PV Magazine. There's a whole bunch of different places to find me out there, just trying to absorb and share solar information so I can be a better businessman. And give us a ring if you need a little construction in Massachusetts or Rhode Island. That's how we pay the majority of our bills. So we like paying our bills.
Excellent. Well, that's it for this week. I look forward to seeing you next week. We're going to have Helene Solar on the show. We're going to have their CEO and talk about solar panels. And until then, let's grow solar and storage. Thanks, everybody.